Trump asked you to use the 82nd Airborne in law enforcement roles in Washington, D.C., would you also convince him otherwise?
I'm not going to get ahead of conversations I would have with the president. However, there are laws and processes inside our Constitution that would be followed.
President Trump said in November that he is willing to consider using the active duty military against the, quote, enemy within. Have you been personally involved in discussions of using the U.S. military active duty inside the United States?
Senator, I'm glad we finally got to the topic of border security equaling national security, because it's been abdicated and ignored for the last 4 years.
That wasn't my question. I'm just asking, have you been involved? You're about to be the Secretary of Defense, potentially. Have you been involved in discussions about using the active duty military inside the United States?
Senator, I am not yet the Secretary of Defense.
Right. I'm
if
just
confirmed, I would be party to any number of
But you
conversations.
haven't been in any of these
which
conversations.
I would not reveal what I have discussed with the President of the United States.
Just have you been in conversations?
You just said it's not revealing it.
3 million people. The active duty that I know you care about, I believe you care about. So have you been in conversations about using the
What's up, y'all? I'm reacting to Pete Hegseth.
active duty in any way?
If you want to hear my commentary reacting to this ridiculous confirmation, come watch the live. I cannot put it on screen with me. I'm so sorry. I am not live from my computer. I'm live from my phone. So, you know what? Maybe I can flip it around. Maybe we'll do that. Ooh,
Whether it's setting up in detention camps, policing dangerous cities, have you been involved in any of those conversations?
Certainly, I have been involved in conversations relating to doing things this administration has not, which is secure the southern border and not allow floods of illegals to enter our country through an invasion.
In other news, Nevada residents are going to be happy to hear this. It just came out. There's a new website where
5,000 National Guardsmen from Indiana and Texas were at the lawful and under the Constitution. But I recognize that this administration has abdicated its responsibility. President Trump is going to restore order at the border, prevent our enemies from invading. And yes, he has said,
Sir, I get your filibustering. I get it.
Part of what happened.
In the spirit of preserving the institution that I think we both care about, legitimately, the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I've heard a couple of different things. One, you said you will not change the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is what governs justice system in the military. Yes or no? You said that earlier.
Those are laws, Senator, set by Congress.
Okay, so you will not go to change it. You will not attempt to change it. You also said that JAG officers are potentially people who put their own interests in their own medals and promotions ahead of the troops. Senator Lindsey Graham was a JAG officer for most of his life. Is that what you believe about those who implement our justice system in the U.S. military?
Senator, I was speaking about particular JAG officers I've had to deal with in my military
experience. Are you going to get
not
involved?
About a member of the United States Senate.
Are you, as Secretary of Defense, going to get involved in the implementation of the U.S. Military Code of Justice?
Senator, ultimately, it will be a big part of my job to evaluate decisions vis-a-vis the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Yes. Have you seen is CQ Brown on your list in the Warrior boards to be removed from his position?
Senator, every single senior officer will be reviewed based on meritocracy, standards, lethality, and commitment to lawful orders they will be given.
Thank you, Senator Slotkin. I now recognize Senator Shaheen for a unanimous consent request.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a request from a former general who served 35 years, Dennis Leitch, who most recently was commander of the 94th Regional Readiness Command at Fort Devens, Mass., who has asked that his letter opposing Mr. Hegseth's nomination be entered into the record.
Who knows?
There's an objection. Without objection, it will be entered. Also, I present a host of letters and op-eds from former co-workers at Vets for Freedom and Concerned Vets for America, as well as Fox News Channel.
I'm going to go live on Instagram to give my opinion on all this, by the way.
I also have letters and op-eds from many veterans and Iraqis and Afghanis who were helped by Mr. Hegseth. I ask unanimous consent to introduce these letters and op-eds. Without objection, is so ordered. Senator Sheehy, you've been very patient.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Entering a support letter in for Mr. Hegseth. submitted by nearly 90 former soldiers who served with Pete in combat. I would like to submit a statement from 86 of them who support his nomination. Although they come from different units and ranks, the signatories commend Mr. Hegseth for his selfless leadership, love of his soldiers, and commitment to our country.
2 items.
Sorry, 1 item. I ask unanimous consent to enter this.
Without objection, it will be entered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pete, I'm actually going to ask you questions because I want to hear your answer. How many genders are there? Tough one.
Bro, if y'all don't ask some real ass questions.
I know that well. I'm a she, so I'm on board.
I don't like this. I really don't. Ask real questions, bro. Who gives a fuck about this shit?
What is the diameter of the rifle round fired out of an M4A1 rifle?
That's a 5.56.
How many push-ups can you do?
Bruh.
I did 5 sets of 47 this morning.
What do you think our most important strategic base is in the Pacific?
In the Pacific, Guam is pretty strategically significant.
How many rounds of 5.56 can you fit into the magazine of an M4 rifle?
Depends on the magazine, but standard issue is 30. Senator.
And what size round does the M9 Beretta standard issue sidearm for the military fire?
A 9mm.
What does any of this matter?
What kind of batteries do you put in your night vision goggle?
Bruh.
Duracell.
So right there, you're representing qualifications that show you understand what the warfighter deals with every single day on the battlefield. You understand what happens on the front line, where our troops will be.
Bro.
And what happens, unfortunately, in this country is decisions made in rooms like this, bad decisions, end up in dead 17, 18, 19-year-old Americans. And those Americans rarely come from families that sit in rooms like this. They come from lower middle-income families who sometimes the military is their only way out. And they join because maybe they want to go to college. Maybe they know the choice. Maybe they love this country. But for whatever reason, they joined and they sat on the dotted line. And when people like us screw up, they don't come home. And that's the one thing that I care about. Is you remember when I shut the door, when you came with your entourage, Senator Coleman, but known for a long time, and you and I sat together, asked you one question. You remember what that question was?
Are you going to have the backs of the warfighters?
Exactly. What is going to be your number one priority? And I don't care, frankly, what all these letters and articles say. I've been part of a smear campaign too. I get it. I care that you're going to have one thing in mind when you sit in that chair in that 5-sided building. And you told me what that was. So with that, you have my support. I'm sorry you have to go through a process like this, but it is one of the most important jobs in the world. We got to make sure you're ready for it. I thank you for your answers. I got one final question that's very important to me. This is more of a technical question, but I think it's to fix the Army in this country is a 1 or 2 year problem. We can make bullets, we can make rifles. Fix the Air Force might be a 5-year problem. Fix our Navy is a decades-long pursuit. How are you going to fix our national? You don't have all the power. We're not China. Unfortunately, you can't snap your fingers. But how are you going to lead an initiative within the DoD to reinvigorate our national shipbuilding industry so we are able to compete with China? Because freedom of navigation is critical to our economy and the global economy. It's going to be a very important task for you to complete.
It's a critical question, Senator, and that's why I'm grateful that President Trump has said definitively to me and publicly that shipbuilding will be one of his absolute top priorities of this administration. So a lot of it does go into pulling things up into the OSD's office, Secretary of Defense's office, to shine a spotlight on it, to make sure the bureaucracy doesn't strangle important initiatives that need to happen. We need to reinvigorate our defense industrial base in this country to include our shipbuilding capacity. Some of it is on the east, some of it's on the west, some of it's on the Great Lakes. The workforce problems that our shipyards are facing are significant, and there's been a big investment from this committee, in a lot of those places because of the shortfalls, manpower issues, everything else. We also see adversaries that have been able to innovate themselves in ways that their shipbuilding capacity is, I won't reveal it at this hearing, multitudes and multitudes beyond our capabilities. So it needs to be a rapid investment, a rapid fielding, and then we need to incentivize outside entities to fill the gap. We talk a lot about UAVs. UAVs are very important, but there's also a future of UUVs and underwater vehicles.
Sorry.
It will be a part of amplifying the impact of our Navy, because this administration has allowed our number of ships to drop below 300. It sets a projection of 340 or 350, but doesn't create the capacity to actually address it. And so if we're going to defend our interests, our allies, and put America first, we're going to have to be able to project power.
All right, I'm done. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'm done. He said what I needed to hear from him in order to protect America's interests, our allies, and then he said America first last. People might say, well, you need to listen to everything he said. I've sat here listening to 4 hours of this. I'm done. If you guys want to watch the rest of this, you can go ahead and watch the rest of it. But I don't think I need to hear any more. He told me all I needed to know. I do think without a shadow of a doubt, he'll be confirmed. And I hope we actually receive America First, an America First agenda. I do. If not, I won't be surprised and I won't be let down. But that right there, I heard all I needed to hear. Sorry. So sorry. I know there's 8 people watching. You can tell me if you think I'm overreacting. Maybe somebody can add something extra to this, but I don't really see how. Yeah. It's over anyway, but did you hear them ask about being a Christian Zionist? No, please send me that part. I didn't hear that. I've definitely been up and down doing school with my daughter. So if I missed that, please send that to me because I would love to watch that and hear it in its context to know even more about this guy. But he put America last. What does serving America's interests mean?